Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Cathy McGrath, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. Excuse me. Today's issue of the Neepawa Banner and Press is for Friday, August 2nd, 2024. And thrills and spills at the McCreary Rodeo. The McCreary Ag Fair and Rodeo was held last weekend. The event is organized by the Heartland Rodeo Association in conjunction with the McCreary Agricultural Society and is the centerpiece of the festivities for the community. And we even have some more pictures from it. Action galore at McCreary Rodeo. There was plenty of action to be seen at the McCreary Rodeo this past weekend, providing a show full of bucking broncos shaking off their riders on the bottom right, or their hats, top right, roping, top left, and more. With a wide variety of activities taking place, there was sure to be a show to wow all who were in attendance. And then Minnedosa's art piece was vandalized again. Visitors to a statue outside of Inspire Studio in Minnedosa, locally known as Art, may have seen that he was looking a touch shorter in stature earlier this week. That's because Art's head was taken on a bit of an impromptu tour. That is to say, a vandal saw fit to take it. This isn't the first time this sort of activity has befallen Art, as his head has been broken off and taken one other time prior to this. The head had been returned then, and Inspire Studio owner Marlise Soltis, who made the statue, used heavy-duty magnets to reattach it. The magnets were chosen as they could withstand gale force winds, storms, and more. This also meant that the head was removable if needed. We at times had taken the head in because someone had hit him so hard it took his head off. We would inspect and fix it if needed and put it back, Soltis explained further. This most recent incident took place sometime during the night of July 27th and the morning of July 28th. We have a camera on it. We are currently going through the video to look for evidence, said Soltis. Thankfully, the Neepawa Banner and Press can also report that Art's head was swiftly located. Within a few days, Soltis had received a call from a Minnedosa resident that the head had been found at the local beach. Excuse me. Lilies aplenty at the 2024 Lily Days. Above, lilies in the grow field. Below left, a variety of daylily that was on display at the Lily Nook by Casper Wareham. Neepawa is the self-proclaimed lily capital of the world. It's no wonder then that Lily Days draws attention each and every year. This event is held annually by the Lily Nook, featuring beautiful sights at the store's location and quite the variety of locally grown flowers, primarily lilies. Lily Days is an event that has certainly become a long-standing tradition with the business. We've been in business for 29 years, and we continued after the Lily Festival ended with our own Lily Days, Nigel Stroman explained. This year was certainly no different. Despite the intense heat and humidity as of late, people could be seen throughout each day of the sale, perusing the colorful selections on display from July 25th to 28th. In addition to the sale at the Lily Nook itself, visitors were also extended an invitation to visit the nearby growing fields, where visitors can walk among the meticulously cared for flora that have been planted there. It was steady but not overly busy. We had visitors from Winnipeg, Brandon, and quite a few from Saskatchewan, said Stroman, sharing reflections on their weekend. Thursday and Sunday were the busiest days, probably. Those coming on Thursday wanted the best selection, and those coming for Sunday was the best deal. And with such well-tended flowers, perhaps it is of no surprise that the most popular attraction for all was the growing field itself. The growing field everyone enjoys, Stroman enthused. Providing a final comment, Stroman added, hopefully next year we will arrange an event like a judged lily show, which we skipped this year. And public invited to ribbon cutting for Neepawa business expansion. The new building for Neepawa-based business This and That Manufacturing Limited, Dream Concepts, located at 559 Hamilton Street by Owen Devereaux. You're invited to take a tour of the new production space for a rapidly growing Neepawa-based business. This and That Manufacturing Limited, Dream Concepts, is hosting a ribbon cutting event on Friday, August 9th at 12 p.m. for its modular home production facility at 559 Hamilton Street. This recently constructed building is located just northwest of Rocky Mountain Equipment on the portion of Hamilton leading to the new hospital. The new space is needed because of the success of This and That modular housing division. Production manager Rob Moman of This and That Manufacturing Limited said they have received approval to sell more varieties of Canadian Standards Association, CSA, approved homes all across Canada, which is facilitating the need for more room. It's an expansion. We're adding 2 more CSA stamps or stickers, which are the CSA 240, which are mobile homes, and CSA A277, prefabricated buildings and partially or fully enclosed modules and panels for buildings, said Moman. Moman added that the day's festivities will begin at 10 a.m. as they will be hosting a tour of the building, as well as the different types of homes they are assembling. The tours are open to everyone from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., with the official ceremony set for noon. This and That Manufacturing Limited is the manufacturing side of the business, while Dream Concepts is the company's marketing division. And Looking Back by Casper Warehan. 125 years ago, 1899. Work on the Union Bank block is suspended until a superior quality of brick and some cut stone arrives. The determination of the bank officials and the contractor is to put up a building that will be both substantial and handsome in appearance. By the way, what has become of the proposition to erect a second curling rink in town? A committee was appointed at the last annual meeting of the curling club to look into and report on the question in a month or so from the time of meeting. But 3 months have now elapsed. The season is fast passing away, and no talk of a rink is heard. If we are to have one, it is time something was done. 100 years ago, August 1st, 1924. Kilwood. Several Kilwood people have taken in some of the Eden Chateauquois entertainments. McCreary. Hail has damaged crops about 4 miles east of town. The rainfall around town was excessively heavy, about 6 or 7 inches. Those 2 men making an excavation for the new Alguire building on Mountain Avenue are doing splendid work under the more or less constant gaze of 10 to 20 voluntary supervisors of unquestioned knowledge of how the work should be done. Somebody remarked that this is typical of a world conditions, too few working and too many critics. 75 years ago, 1949. Walter Slobodian and Keith Partiker, local swimmers, acted quickly to rescue a young district boy last Wednesday at the Riverbend Park swimming pool. Clarence Kohinski, who was attending the big community picnic, went into the water and found himself having difficulties, disappearing below the surface. The Neepawa boys quickly pulled him to the bank. Gimli. Canadians of Icelandic descent on Sunday observed Iceland's national holiday. Islendinga Dagrin. And an old superstition turned out true. Every year when the celebration committee picks the Queen of the Mountains for the festival, someone always brings up the belief that it will rain if a married woman is chosen. Be clear if the queen is single. This year's queen was Mrs. H. Danielson of Winnipeg. The result? Rain came down during some of the day-long festivities, all not to such an extent that the celebrations were washed out. About 5,000 Icelanders, many of them from North Dakota, attended the celebrations which first were staged here 60 years ago. Roddy Mountain. The Legion Hall at Riding Mountain was officially opened on the evening of July 27th by Mr. A. Cairns, Provincial Secretary of the Canadian Legion. 50 years ago, 1974, and we have two pictures from 74. Pictured is at the controls of a training plane is Corporal Murray Dagg. He had the honors of undertaking flight lessons at Portage La Prairie in 1974. And the graphic shown above on the lower left-hand corner of the page is a portion of a larger ad from Robinson Stores in Neepawa. It was the August 1st, 1974 edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press. Men's pants, $8.88. $6.66. Men's sports shirts, $2.88 to $4.88. Men's summer jackets, $8.88. Ladies wear, complete clearance, 1/3 to 1/2 off. Sweaters, $2.88 to $4.99. And summer purses, $2.88. Oh, those prices sound pretty good. And continuing from 1974, the drill holes being sunk by Tudale Exploration southeast of Neepawa is now 3,400 feet deep, and the company reports that it is still in iron mineralization. The assay values the samples taken from the 2,500 to the 3,000 foot level ranges from 29.06 to 46.75% iron. A second hole is being deflected off of the main hole and is now 22 degrees away from the original vertical hole. One of the most popular forms of relaxation and recreation during the summer months is to visit some camping spot near a lake, and preferably under the shade of a tree, and set up a trailer or camper for a night, a weekend, a week, or a month, and enjoy holiday time in the fresh air and refreshing breezes. People will often drive for miles to spend a few hours at their favorite resort, or they will search tourist information booklets in order to find someplace new or unknown to them. Many have never heard of Lake Irwin, and you can search the government maps in vain to discover its location, because the map makers don't seem to know of its existence. Lake Irwin is a beautiful man-made lake 1 mile south of Neepawa on Highway 258. The first thing that will capture your attention is the summer cottage of Bill Calver of Shiloh, which is in the process of being built. This is the first cottage to be built at Lake Irwin, but 7 or 8 lots have been leased for further construction. There are presently 2 trailers occupying adjacent sites. Portage La Prairie was chosen this year as the training site for the 1974 Air Cadet Flying Scholarship Program for selected cadets in the province of Manitoba and northwestern Ontario. The 20 successful candidates this year included Corporal Murray Dagg, son of Mr. and Mrs. Dagg of Neepawa. Corporal Dagg attends weekly meetings of the No. 9 RCAS. And 20 years ago, 2004, a Neepawa woman who organized a 636-name petition in support of Neepawa's palliative care program is hoping there's strength in numbers. I'm hoping maybe it will make them at the Assiniboine RHA take a look at the decision and leave the palliative program as is, said Myra Bennett. Bennett organized the petition after the RHA announced in June that it will no longer allow donations to cover the costs of service providers. One of those service providers is the Neepawa Palliative Care Coordinator, who is paid for through local donations. The RHA said the issue has been an ongoing problem with Revenue Canada because the coordinator is not actually an employee of the RHA. And Perspectives, Right in the Center by Ken Waddell. And again, the views expressed in this column are the writer's personal views and are not to be taken as being the views of the newspaper staff. Olympics opening ceremony is not surprising, but very disappointing. The world was looking forward to seeing the beginning of the 2024 Paris Olympics. It's still a great show, but the opening was severely smeared by crude and lewd portions of the opening ceremonies. There has been enough attention given to the very bad taste shown on the stage, but safe to say that boatloads of athletes going down the Seine River was impressive, but there was, well, a lot of bad stuff interspersed. My father's generation was not impressed with France because of their lack of courage in World War II. It's not talked about very much, but Had France stood up to Hitler's Germany in 1939, World War II might never have happened. The French leadership of that era had a much more powerful army than Germany, but they were afraid to take a stand. Their lack of courage cost the Allies a lot of lives, injuries, and money. My father's generation had a hard time with that. I also have some trouble with the French, as thousands of Canadians fought to get France and General Charles de Gaulle back into French soil in 1944 with the Normandy invasion and the subsequent freeing of France from the Nazis. Only 23 years after Canadians died to get France back into Gaulle's hands, France back into Gaulle's hands insulted Canada. In 1967, now French President de Gaulle proclaimed "Vive Québec libre," the words that have helped fire up Quebec separatism. He was a visitor to Canada, president of a country that Canada had helped get back into French control, and he had the audacity to try and inspire French Canadians to leave Canada. I have visited Quebec a few times, and fortunately there is still a majority of Quebecers who see it as best that they stay in Canada. Well, they should, as like Manitoba, it's richer Canadian provinces that heavily subsidize Quebec and Manitoba. Left to their own resources, both Quebec and Manitoba would be bankrupt. But all that considered, why are people, French and others, so infatuated with the lewd things in life? The French government and the Olympic officials apologize to anyone who's offended. That is political speak for, "I am sorry I got caught." If you have ever watched the movie Cabaret, you will see similar trends in moral lacking among the people of 1930s Berlin. Maybe there is a pattern here. Today's French Olympic organizers and the Cabaret era 1930s Berlin organizers were purposefully hiding immorality behind a facade of artistic endeavors. What could be wrong with loud music and gaudy clothing? What indeed? Nothing, I guess, unless in the case of 1930s Berlin and 2024 Paris, where every kind of immoral behavior was wrapped up in bright colors and passed off as artistic. People were not to be fooled, and God is not to be mocked. The surprise about the Paris thing is that the organizers are surprised at the reaction to their art. Lewd is lewd, crude is crude, sacrilege is sacrilege, and the majority of people are not amused or comfortable. We don't want censorship, but we do expect citizenship, and we didn't get it from the Olympic organizers in Paris. Fortunately, the athletes from all countries are giving us quality citizenship, quality entertainment, and true pride in our countries. And Home Buddies by Rita Friesen, 8 years later. It was 8 years ago on a frightfully hot day when we made the move. I say we, for I could not have done it by myself. 4 able-bodied men and 2 strong women helped. It was moving a minimalized 2-story home that needed to be located to a 3-bedroom, no-basement home. The contents of a garage, a partially emptied shop, and several outbuildings then compacted into an attached garage and a 2-car garage here in town. We had a system going. Load 1 set of units, unload them, reload, and on it went. Thankfully, a wonderful friend treated us to a home-cooked supper, and thankfully the house in town has a wall-unit air conditioner. With dedicated help, the move was completed in 1 day. So why am I revisiting a day from 8 years ago? This very hot weekend, I was able to assist a supportive friend in their move. Hot really doesn't cover the temperature outside, temp and body temp, as we carried boxes and totes upstairs, downstairs, and loaded them into vehicles. Hot, plain and simple. The task at hand and the temperature reminded me clearly of the day I moved into town. The other reason is that I am so enjoying my home and yard. There was a clean coat of paint in the house when I gained title to it. Not my color, but clean and fresh and well done. Slowly I added some of my color, a soft blue in the main living room a few years ago, and this past week I found the perfect paint color, one I've aimed for and missed several times, like the sky just before a thunderstorm, a soft yet intense blue. Yup, Annette, blue. It is so what I want that after painting the master bedroom, I tackled the spare room. One wall in both rooms is much lighter, so I never feel closed in, and the feature wall in one room is wallpaper, and in the others, well, a light blue. See a pattern here? The yard has become exactly what I want. The freezer holds raspberries and strawberries from my yard. The Saskatoons produce just enough to encourage me to go pick at a berry farm. The gooseberry has outdone itself, and the ripe fruit is a daily treat. The old apple tree is loaded. The Prairie Magic has many apples set, and the trail has one lone apple that I'm watching closely. The produce from the vegetable patch has enhanced several meals, with extra being frozen for the winter. The broccoli and cauliflower didn't produce the way I wanted, but the kohlrabi looks promising. I am days away from fresh potatoes and cucumbers. Tomatoes are slow. The fenced backyard is my haven, and simply sitting in the shade of the old apple tree, coffee in hand and dog on lap, is rewarding. There are a few flowers left to add color, the petunias out front excelling the others. I am fit, I am free, I am faith-filled, I am content. Now if the town could change a bylaw and let me have chickens. And Faithfully Yours by Neil Stroshine. One Albertan's pain, one Albertan's prayer. There are some tragedies for which no words can ease the impact or the pain felt by those who must now live with the results. Of these, the devastation caused by the wildfire in Jasper National Park tops my list. Looking at the first pictures and reading online reports of this disaster have left me feeling numb. That is the only word I can use right now. Having grown up and spent my PN, pre-Neepawa, years in Alberta and BC, the 4 Western National Parks were favorite holiday spots for me. In addition, while living in Prince George, BC, I regularly traveled through Jasper and Mount Robson parks while going to visit family in Alberta. I wonder how much of the town I remember from those days survived the fire. It is said that you can't feel the pain of another person until you have experienced a tragedy identical to theirs. That may be so, but there is one thing I can feel, and that is the pain of one whose friend has lost everything, including loved ones, in a house or business fire. I had that experience after less than a year of service in my first church, so as a friend I can understand the anguish and grief among the residents of Jasper are feeling today. As I think about and pray for you all, I am asking God to do 4 things. First, to assure you of his continued protection and help. God didn't start the fire. He didn't send the 100-mile-per-hour winds that turned it into an inferno that no one could stop. He didn't decide whose homes and businesses were destroyed and whose were saved. But he did guide those who made the decisions to evacuate the town and surrounding area. He watched over those who directed traffic so that everyone got out safely. And he has protected those on the front lines fighting this fire so that, in the time I am writing this article, no injuries to residents, tourists, or emergency personnel have been reported. And he will continue to watch over and protect you until this crisis is over. Secondly, I am praying that God will supply all your immediate needs. He knows what they are. He will care for you. He will give you the hope, help, and healing that you need today and for all the days ahead. Third, I am praying that God will give you the courage as you map out your future. I don't know what that path will be for any of you, but God does, and he will help you take life one step at a time, one day at a time, one challenge at a time. Of that, I am absolutely certain. Fourth, I am praying that those who have promised to support you and help you rebuild your homes, businesses, and lives will keep their promises. Theirs will be an enormous task. It will require months of on-site work and millions of dollars in financial aid to finish. I am praying that God will send people who, after coming to help, won't leave you until the work is done and they are no longer needed. Today I'm asking all my readers to join me in offering these prayers for the people in Jasper and for all those who lost property and are building homes, business, and lives following floods, fires, and other natural disasters. Let us believe that God will do what he does best, bring immense beauty out of the ashes left by the fire. Excuse me. Beautiful Plain Museum, 1922 nursing grads, and pictured on the upper right here are some nurses from the graduating class of 1922. From left to right are May White, Gladys P. Donaldson, and Annie Robb. Gladys Donaldson was born in 1897 and was a registered nurse trained in the Neepawa General Hospital that served in Neepawa, Chicago, and Winnipeg. Thumbs up, thumbs down, and we have 2 different thumbs down from Terry Bradley. Well, Neepawa, spring came, then summer came, and now we're heading into fall, and I see that the streets all look the same. Thought they were to be fixed, and that doesn't mean spraying gravel into a water-filled hole. They need to be dug up, leveled up, and resurfaced. But I guess with winter coming, the snow and ice will fill them for you until next year, and another excuse comes up that they weren't done. I have had friends from other towns saying that they thought the streets were to be fixed, but they are getting worse, not better. And, on a second note, why has there not been anything done with all those scooters and electric bikes? No helmets, kids on them riding double, and I can't count the number of times I have been cut off, almost ran into and ran over walking out of a store. Where is the bylaw officer? This needs to be fixed, or it is the same as the streets and the cold winter weather will fix the scooter problems as well. Blowing the Dust Off by Joel Asselstein. Keranen Breaking Gender Barriers. Marie Annabelle Jenny Keranen. This may not be blowing the dust off of a book or a lost form of media, but maybe of the uniforms that our new Chief of Defense left on her counterparts. I have heard rumors that she doesn't deserve the role, and I want to personally put a stop to it and take a look at to why she deserves to be at the top. Pioneering leadership roles. Kerrigan became the first Canadian female general from a combat command when she was promoted to Brigadier General in June 2016. This promotion marked a significant step forward for women in the Canadian Armed Forces, showcasing that women can hold high-ranking positions in combat roles. And combat command experience. Her experiences in various international military operations, including her deployments to the Golan Heights, Bosnia, and Afghanistan, paved the way for her authority and credibility as a leader in the combat engineering. Keranen took on challenging assignments that were once predominantly reserved for male officers, proving her capability and laying the groundwork for future female leaders in the military. Advocacy for women in combat. In 2012, Keranen, alongside fellow female officers, actively promoted the inclusion of women in combat positions during a tour in Australia. Her commitment to advocating for gender equality within the military helped shift perceptions and open doors for female participants in previously restricted roles. And high-level appointments. Kerenen's rise through the ranks continued as she was appointed as the Chief for Professional Conduct and Culture in 2021, a newly established position focused on preventing sexual assaults and fostering a culture of respect within the military. This role underscored her commitment to addressing critical issues affecting service members, particularly women. This is why, in July 2024, Keranen made history by being appointed as the first woman to serve as the Chief of Defense Staff of the CAF, Canadian Armed Forces. This landmark achievement not only positions her as a trailblazer in Canada, but also makes her the first female head of a national military force among the Five Eyes country, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the UK, and the US, breaking gender barriers at the highest level of military leadership. And Out of Helen's Kitchen by Helen Drysdale. She's got recipes here for carrot cake cookies and carrot curry soup. And she says, carrots are divine. As I was digging my garden carrots, Bugs Bunny's song kept playing in my head, the one that goes, carrots are divine, you can get a dozen for a dime, it's magic, they fry, a song begins, they roast, and I hear violins, it's magic. When I feed my rabbit, Miss Molly, carrots, I believe her head song mirrors Bugs' song, the way she rips the carrot from my hand. Carrots have been around for thousands of years. In ancient Egypt, carrots were placed in the tombs of dead pharaohs, and their artwork had drawings of harvesting the carrot fields. They were not grown for food, but for the medicinal purposes in the leaves and seeds. The carrots of that time were not orange, but various colors, including purple, red, yellow, and white. As they spread around the world, the 13th century saw Europeans growing carrots in their gardens. They were on the bitter side, and not the sweet carrot we now know. By the 16th century, Dutch farmers were doing selective plantings and were successful in growing the first orange carrots. The story is the orange color was in honor of William of Orange and the ruling House of Orange. Whether the story was true or not, those newly selected orange carrots were better tasting, sweeter, and plumper, much like our carrots of today, and quickly spread across the world. Today, the cultivated carrot is a daily staple on the dinner tables around the world. When you are preparing your carrots, don't peel the skin if possible. Carrots, like many root vegetables, have the most nutritional value just below the skin. So instead of peeling, scrub the skin clean. And Victoria's Quilts Neepawa hosts a barbecue lunch. And pictured, Jacqueline Olmsted and Melanie Burnett were just a couple of the Victoria's Quilts Neepawa members that could be seen at the Co-op grocery store in Neepawa, prepping and selling hot dogs to benefit the Guild and its mission, by Casper Warehan. Visitors to the Neepawa Gladstone Co-op food store in Neepawa are sure to have seen a special fundraiser taking place last week. On Friday, July 26th, the store's patio was host to a fundraiser barbecue for Victoria Quilts Neepawa from 11 to 1:30. This group is part of the Victoria Quilts Canada initiative, which makes and sends quilts to those fighting cancer across the nation. Victoria Quilts Neepawa, VQN, is the only branch in Manitoba and has been sending quilts out across the whole province for a dedicated 10 years. The Neepawa Banner and Press spoke to VQN member Audrey Heffel, who provided comment on the event later that afternoon. We don't have the final number, but we went over $150, I'd say $175 probably, said Heffel. It's a wonderful fundraiser. We'd really like to thank Co-op and Old Dutch for the donations. And of course, all those who came in to support us and shared words of support and thanks. Heffel added, we were really impressed with the support we received. We even had some businesses come by and bring lunch back to their offices for their staff. Heffel noted that this event has multiple purposes. The funds raised by the barbecue will help to cover operational expenses, as each quilt costs approximately $100 to make. To put this in perspective, VQN sends approximately 25 quilts per month. In addition to this, another important aspect of the event was visibility. Some people, even from Neepawa, may not be familiar with Victoria's Quilts Neepawa, so we want to raise awareness about who we are and what we do, said Heffel. We want to provide cancer patients with comfort and to let them know they are not alone in their struggle. Heffel added, earlier this year we sent out our 2,000th quilt, and so far this year we have made about 159. Additional information about Victoria's Quilts Canada and Victoria's Quilts Neepawa can be found at www.victoriasquiltscanada.com. Victoria's Quilts Neepawa can also be reached via email at neepawa@victoriasquiltscanada.com. And contemplating the green, Touchwood Park hosts its 28th annual charity golf tournament. And pictured on the left of this page, Touchwood Park's 28th annual charity golf tournament kicked off at 12:30 p.m. on July 29th. Results and details of this event will appear in a future edition of the Banner and Press. Pictured here are some scenes from the day. Above, one of the teams takes stocks of the course before them. Left, 4. This golfer tees off at the start of a hole. And Neepawa Golf and Country Club hit with minor damages. Pictured here are some of the damages found on the course at the Neepawa Golf and Country Club on the morning of July 26. Damages were quickly tended to. The lush greens at the Neepawa Golf and Country Club are perfect for a round of golf. On July 25th, however, it appears an individual or group of individuals decided to use it for their own means. On the morning of July 26th, club staff discovered an incident of vandalism took place on the greens overnight while staff were off duty. Details provided to the Banner and Press by the Neepawa Golf and Country Club states that the damage was found on the number 16 green in particular, with tire tracks causing damage to the grounds. Additionally, a pin, flagstick, was driven over and was broken as a result. It is currently suspected that the vandals used either a golf cart or a similar vehicle, as the tracks appeared similar in dimensions and style. Thankfully, the damage to the green was not severe. The damage to the green itself was minor. The crew was able to get out there and tend to the green, as well as replace the broken pin, since we had extras in stock, said Brant Young, a representative of the works in the course's pro shop. So it should all be fine now. While the damage was minor and the flag readily replaced, incidents such as this are still an inconvenience, as staff must take time to remedy the situation. The Neepawa Golf and Country Club is asking anyone who may have information in regards to this incident to step forward. And Culture, Quilts, Cuisine and Cars, Busy Days Ahead in Kilwood by Rob Waddell. Pictured here are some scenes from the 2023 Kilwood Ag Fair and Harvest Sun Music Festival. One of my fondest childhood memories is the Kelwood Ag Fair. I recall running around the fairgrounds with my brother, exploring under an old bridge just before the cenotaph in front of Royal Canadian Legion number 50 and trying to win prizes all jacked up on soda pop. Just north of the Legion, the curling club was full of conversations, a bustling canteen, and in the rink itself, tables full of proud community accomplishments. That classic old curling rink may be gone and the bridge replaced with a culvert, but the spirit of volunteerism and the community pride is alive and kicking in this rural community 30 minutes north of Neepawa. This coming Saturday, August 10th, Kelwood would be chock full of events including the agricultural fair, a parade and horse show, the Eleanor Rose Outdoor Quilt Show, a classic cart show, firefighter barbecue fundraiser, Legion lunch canteen, fair supper hosted by Cafe 37 at the community hall, and then Chase the Ace meat draw and live band at the Legion 50 to cap off the day. These events require many, many volunteer hours by organizers and set-up crews beforehand, and more of the same in the running of the day filled with an impressive variety of entertainment and achievement. Once the fair and quilt show weekend is wrapped up, volunteers turn their focus to setting up for the 18th annual Harvest Sun Music Festival as it runs the following Saturday, August 17th. Just in case that wasn't enough, the first annual Boom Chuck Old Time Music Camp is running August 13th to 16th between the Fair Quilt Show weekend and the Harvest Sun Festival. Workshop classes wrap up on Friday with a recital under the big top tent that will be set up for the Harvest Sun Festival. Site located at the barn, home to the Farmer's Daughter Restaurant and Mountain General Store. This year's festival features music by award-winning Manitoba band Leaf Rapids, Westman Ray's roots rocker Mitchell McCoons, the Wrigley Brothers, fan favorite fiddling phenom twin brothers formerly known as Double the Trouble, and country heartbreaker Bobby Dove, among others. The festival will also have a beer garden, maker's market, and a culinary options for a variety of tastes. Another highlight of the HSMF is the campfire jams that happen when music lovers gather around a fire and share stories and songs. In my opinion, there's nothing quite like singing, laughing, and dancing under the stars with friends new and old, and my favorite to do this is Kelwood, Manitoba, Canada. And major work resumes at Squirrel Hills Pavilion. And pictured at the top, major work resumed at the Squirrel Hills Trail Park in Minnedosa last Friday. Birch Construction Limited was up early that morning, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at the trailhead as they prepared for a major pouring of concrete for the Trails Pavilion. Prep began at 5 a.m., with the pour itself starting at 6 a.m. A portion of the process of this pour can be seen here. The concrete work wrapped up swiftly, ending at 8:30 a.m. The team was also scheduled to have welcomed by the lumber crew to the pavilion for this week, and landscapers will be prepping the remainder of the trailhead. And Neepawa Public Library is ready for its next chapter. Caitlin Henderson is settling into the role as the new branch supervisor, and pictured here is the Neepawa Public Library's new branch supervisor, Caitlin Henderson, by Owen Devereaux. For Caitlin Henderson, a love of reading has been the story of her life for as long as she can remember. An avid reader almost from the start, Henderson spent quite a bit of time as a child wandering up and down the bookshelves at her local library in the community of the Paw. It only makes sense that when her passion for being surrounded by prose poetry and parables turns into a full-time career. And fortunately for Neepawa, that career path has led here. Henderson has been in the position of branch supervisor for the Neepawa Public Library since mid-July. She took over the role from Debbie Unger, who retired back in the spring after 9 years in the position. Coming into the job, Henderson already has about a decade's experience of her own, mostly at the Paw Regional Library. After graduating with a diploma as a library technician from Saskatchewan Polytech, formerly the Saskatchewan Institute of Applied Science and Technology, she returned to her hometown to start her career. After 10 years, 4 of which was spent working in a very similar role up north, Henderson decided to apply for the opportunity of branch supervisor in Neepawa. Henderson said since she arrived, she has focused a lot of the past few weeks on acclimating herself to her new home. She notes there is a slight culture shock to the cluster of local small and quaint communities we have all across the region, compared to the relative isolation of a northern Manitoba town. On top of that, Henderson has also been learning about the larger library structure here in Westman, as Neepawa is a partner in the Western Manitoba Regional Library. We are part of the regional system with the main branch in Brandon and a few other communities a part of it. My role here is to maintain and make sure that this branch's day-to-day operations are going well, and then, as well, coordinate with the other branches on larger projects and partnerships, noted Henderson. But be assured, Henderson's main priority is and will always be the people of the Neepawa Library. She noted the first few weeks of meeting all the regulars has been very fulfilling. It's been nice meeting people like your regular patrons, those who are usually the day-to-day things that someone in this job we just don't take for granted. See, the seniors walk in and it's their weekly coming into the library and they're here for chat and socializing. Those interactions you can see people really enjoy, and we do as well, stated Henderson. But then my favorite is when the little kids come in, and then if you're there long enough, you start seeing them grow up and change sections in the library. That's also the cutest thing when they're starting to read and they're jumping up in levels of readers, and those little takeaways from the job are always like the sweetest things. Anyone who hasn't had the chance to welcome Caitlin Henderson to the community can do so between the hours of 10 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. Monday to Friday at the Neepawa Public Library. And now some sports. Neepawa Titans post profit for 2023-24 fiscal year. Several significant topics discussed at the MJHL Club's annual general meeting by Owen Devereaux. The recent annual general meeting for the Neepawa Titans suggests that while there are still a few challenges ahead, the Junior A Hockey Club is moving in the right direction, both on and off the ice. The hockey team's AGM was held on Monday, July 29th, in the meeting room at the Neepawa Public Library. The gathering was the community's chance to learn what's been going on with the team for the last 12 months, as well as any future plans to keep the franchise viable in Neepawa. During the review of the financial statements, the Titans board, as well as Chase Critchlow of Kinley Thompson, confirmed that the team had registered a net income of $16,998 for the fiscal year. The total revenue for 23-24 was $584,498, while overall expenses were $571,682. That is just the fourth time in the last 10 years that the team has posted a year-end profit. The club's overall long-term debt has decreased year over year, but it still stands at $370,997. Expenses and revenues. The majority of the team's revenue sources all improved compared to the previous year, with advertising and sponsorships seeing the largest increase, going from $94,634 in 2023 to $164,197 in 2024. As well, game revenue, $73,007, fundraising, $241,998, and travel-free revenue, $72,025, all increased year over year. Unfortunately, the majority of expenses also rose from 2023, though most of those results appear to be in line with inflation. The one notable exception could be seen in fundraising expenses, $69,282 in 2023 to $97,784 in 2024. But the amount of overall revenue brought in from fundraising outpaced expenses, so these numbers could be seen as a positive expenditure. The most notable expenses over the year for the team were as follows: subcontracts, $94,739, hockey supplies, $65,516, billets, $64,823, and bus expenses, $56,549. Neepawa Titans board chair Jamie Denbo said some of the credit to the improved bottom line can go towards changes to the team's sponsorship structure, which attempted to streamline the choices for businesses, making it easier to support the club. He also added that the success of the team on the ice, it also helps to create a little more enthusiasm. CEBA loan. One liability that remains on the books for 2024 is the Canada Emergency Business Account, CEBA. program loan, though the CEBA program eligible small business and not-for-profits were provided up to $60,000 in emergency funding in the form of loans that were initially interest-free and partially forgivable to help cover a variety of expenses that could not be deferred during a period of the COVID-19 shutdown. If an organization repaid $40,000 of the $60,000 loan by December 31st, 2023, then loan forgiveness of the remaining $20,000 would apply. The Neepawa Titans were unable to pay before the deadline and now owe $61,074. A question was asked as to why it could not be paid off before the deadline, and the representatives of the organization said the team did not have the funds to pay back the loan when it became due. Player draft discussed. The Neepawa Titans also updated attendees of the AGM on several notable changes that will be impactful on ice for all the MJHL clubs. The one topic that was of the most interest was the league's decision to eliminate its annual Bantam player draft. The decision now gives young prospects the freedom to select which of the 13 MJHL clubs they would like to play for when eligible. Neepawa was one of only 2 organizations who voted against the elimination of the draft. Concerns were raised from the floor as to how that could negatively impact mid to small market clubs such as Neepawa. The Titans brass noted the decision does create new challenges, but they could simply need to be more creative in their sales pitch to players on the team and the town. Neepawa Titans head coach and general manager Ken Pearson talked about the expectations for the next season. He said they currently have about 18 returning players from last year's roster. Pearson noted that healthy amount of returns combined with some of the losses of key players from other teams within the Western Division could create an opportunity for the Titans to improve upon the results from 23 to 24. Plumas Pirates, Minnedosa Mavericks advanced to Santa Clara semifinals by Owen Devereaux. The semifinals are set for the Santa Clara Baseball League as the Plumas Pirates and Minnedosa Mavericks have won their opening round playoff series. The Mavericks head into their next round with a 2-game sweep of the Carberry Royals, which capped off with a 9-7 victory on Wednesday, July 24th. Minnedosa pitcher Devin Ford earned a complete game win, while Dalen Creasy took the loss for Carberry. Ford helped his own cause by going 2 for 4 at bat with a pair of doubles and 2 RBIs. Meanwhile, John Hutton and Joss McInnes also knocked a pair of RBI apiece to push the Mavs to the win. In the other opening round series, the Plumas Pirates battled back from an early deficit to defeat the Austin A's 2-1 after dropping Game 1 at home and falling behind early 3-1 in Game 2 in Austin. The Pirates stormed back to claim a 9-4 win on July 24th. Pitcher Ryland Denbo picked up the win on the mound for Plumas, while Justin Walker collected the save. Zach Yando, meanwhile, homered, and Riley McBride went 2 for 4 with 2 RBI. The next night, the Pirates moved on by dominating Austin 14-1. Plumas' Riley McBride pitched for 4 innings of a no-hit ball for the win, while Nathan Braun surrendered just 2 hit in relief over 3 innings. McBride also drove in 4 RBI while going 3 for 4 at the plate. The semifinals are now set, with Plumas set to challenge Neepawa and Minnedosa matched up with Portage. The series between the Portage Pirates and Minnedosa Mavericks could be over before you even read these words, as the first 2 games were played before the Banner and Press publication deadline. The first game played was on July 29th in Portage and saw the Padres win by a score of 8-4. As for Game 2 in Minnedosa, it was played on July 31st, a few hours after the Banner and Press was set to print. Meanwhile, in the other semi-final series, the Neepawa Cubs hosted Plumas for the first game shortly after a rain on the deadline on Wednesday, July 31st. And moving on, Neepawa Dolphins splash over to Beausejour. The Neepawa Dolphins swam hard at Beausejour. The weather was perfect for a day at the pool. The swimmers had to leave early to arrive for their 8:30 a.m. warm-up. Once the competition started, the local team was ready. Coach Claire Beaumont had her charges going strong all morning long. The final results are as follows. 8 and under girls, Julia Ott 7th, 25-meter back 8th, 25-meter free. 11-12 girls, Maya Gingras, 1st 25 fly and 25-meter free, 2nd 50-meter back, 50-meter fly, 3rd 50-meter free. Kendra Ott, first 100-meter back, 23-meter back, second 25-meter breast, third 50-meter back, fourth 50-meter breast. Sydney Wolf, first 25-meter fly, third 25-meter free, 50-meter breast, 25-meter back, and fifth in the 50-meter free. Cathy Anderson, second in the 100-meter fly, third in the 100-meter IM, and fourth in the 50-meter fly. And Ann Crossan, first in the 50-meter back, 100-meter IM, 50-meter fly, and 50-meter breast, second in the 50-meter free. 15 to 17 girls. Ashley Nadeau, first in the 200-meter IM, 100-meter breast, 200-meter free, 50-meter free, and 100-meter fly. Alyssa Nadeau, first in the 200-meter breast, 50-meter breast, second in the 100-meter breast, third in the 100-meter fly, fourth in the 100-meter IM. And Aaliyah Jacobson, first in the 25-meter back, second in the 50-meter back, 25-meter fly, and 100-meter back, and 25-meter free. The 11 and 12 boys, Joey Smith, first 25-meter fly, second 50-meter fly, third 50-meter back, 50-meter free, and fourth in the 100-meter breast, and Austin Nadeau, second in the 100-meter back, third in the 25-meter breast, fourth in the 100-meter IM, 100-meter free, sixth in the 25-meter fly. 13 and 14 boys, J.C. Smith, first in the 25-meter fly, 100-meter fly, 200-meter fly, second in the 50-meter back, and third in the 100-meter breast. Once again, the Dolphins had standout performances from Alyssa, Ashley, and Austin Nadeau, but as they participated in winter swim with Brandon, then their time, place, and team points do not count. Next up is the final meet of the season, the final opportunity for swimmers to improve upon their times and add to their personal point total. Sunday, August 18th at 9 a.m. in Neepawa. Every entry fee is free, so come on down and enjoy the day. Yellowhead Hall to welcome youth businesses. Neepawa's second annual Children's Business Fair draws near, by Casper Warren. Young entrepreneurs will soon take the floor in Neepawa. On August 15th, the Yellowhead Hall will become home to the second annual Children's Business Fair. This fair encourages the creativity of the community's youth and invites them to showcase their own business ideas to the public and sell their service products. The Children's Business Fair is hosted by Neepawa Economic Development with support from Action Academy and the Acton Next Great Adventure. The 2023 event blew away expectations, and now preparations are well underway for the 2024 edition. Additionally, Marilyn Crew, Economic Development Officer for Neepawa, told the Banner and Press that the response for the 2024 has been good so far. I have 13 businesses registered so far and have room for 30, said Crew. There is more room for entrepreneurs for sure. Crew added, this is a good opportunity to keep kids busy during the summer creating arts, crafts, or whatever they would like to sell. A table is provided and the kids should think about how they will display and price their items and how they will decorate their store to attract customers. There is no cost to participate and the kids keep all the money they make. There is still time for those interested to register a business. To apply to the Children's Business Fair or learn more, all are invited to do so via www.childrensbusinessfair.org/Neepawa. Marilyn Crew may also be contacted to answer questions about the event via 204-476-7607. Last year we had a really great turnout and I'm hoping for the same this year. Mark your calendars for the Children's Business Fair from 3 to 6 p.m. on August 15th at the Yellowhead Hall, Crew enthused. A separate event may perhaps spur the youth's interest in the Children's Business Fair took place on July 25th. This occasion was the Neepawa's Day Camps Market and Barbecue fundraiser at Arts Forward. To learn more about this event, see page 7 of this week's paper. Dan Mazur condemns cuts to 4-H Canada and pledges to restore funding. Dauphin Swan Minister Neepawa MP Dan Mazur is pictured. Member of Parliament Dan Mazur is voicing his opposition to the federal government's recent decision to cut funding to 4-H Canada and is pledging that a Conservative government would reverse the decision if elected. 4-H Canada recently announced it was forced to lay off staff following a major cut to its funding from Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. Mazur asserted that its funding is cut is a continuation of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's targeted attack on rural Canada. The Trudeau government has zero fiscal restraint when it comes to spending. They have spent 9 years wasting taxpayer dollars. So I find it absurd that they would single out an organization that provides youth with important skills and opportunities to develop purpose and responsibility in their lives. It doesn't make sense, Mazur stated. While it's critically important that the federal government balance the budget, we know this small amount of funding plays a significant role in supporting youth in rural communities, which directly contributes to bettering our local economies, he added. Since elected in 2019, Mazur has dedicated his work to issues that impact rural Canada and has criticized policies that negatively impact rural Canadians. He noted the important work that 4-H Canada undertakes in this constituency and across Canada. 4-H Canada has contributed to our nation for over a century, providing youth with the skills and development they need to grow and become leaders in their communities. I recently had the chance to meet youth delegates from 4-H, seeing firsthand the organization's incredible work to teach our youth lessons of leadership, hard work, and dedication, Mazur stated. Mazur pledged that a future Conservative government would reverse the federal Liberal government's cuts to 4-H Canada. Under a Conservative government led by Pierre Poilievre, it will stand up for rural Canadians by reversing cuts to 4-H Canada, axing Trudeau's carbon tax, and ending the NDP Liberal coalition's attacks on our farmers. And 2024 Plumas Fair Parade. And my photos are from Diane Warner, and many communities in the Banner and Press coverage area were hosting some festive fun this past weekend. One of those communities was Plumas, with the 2024 edition of their annual fair. Banner and Press staff member Diane Warner was on the scene that morning taking in the parade. Pictured above are some of the entries and individuals that could be seen as part of the procession for that day's festivities. Above, representatives from the local co-op were on scene with some little helpers. Top right, this old Mercury was a stylish entry. The coloration for the truck was a split of white, the top color, and a lovely shade of light blue, the bottom color. Middle right, Kreutzer Farms entry featured a tractor from the spring of 1949, Dad's first tractor. Another machine from the same entry trailed right behind, featuring a 2024 tractor that dwarfed the 1940 model significantly. Bottom right, this float decked with frills and flags was entered by the Plumas branch of the Royal Canadian Legion. And Day Camp Summer Fundraiser by Owen Devereaux. The Neepawa Day Camp is home to a few budding business tycoons. On Thursday, July 25th, several youngsters involved in the summer program participated in a market and barbecue fundraiser at Arts Forward. The proceeds brought in from the barbecue will help send those involved on a day trip to Splash Island in Portage la Prairie. But there was another very important lesson to the day that will hopefully stick with the kids well beyond their trip to Portage, and that's a lesson in entrepreneurship. Day camp coordinator Preston Finney explained that in the week leading up to the fundraiser, camp participants learned about the concept of creating a business idea and then followed through with the creation and sale of a product. This was our entrepreneurship week, and so the main focus was to teach kids a bit about what entrepreneurship is and things that being an entrepreneur can get you in life, noted Finney. We had Neepawa Economic Development Officer Marilyn Crew come in from the town office and talk to us about running your own business. We did an interview with local entrepreneur Katie Martin about that as well. And just throughout the week, the kids had to come up with the idea of what they wanted to sell, how much they wanted to sell it for, and just go through the plan of running their own little business. Finney said the kids really took to the challenge, and it provided them a chance to learn how to take an idea and bring it to life. There were several youths selling their products, which ranged from bracelets and homemade jewelry. 2024 RCMP Music Ride by John Drinkwater. The Erickson and District Chamber of Commerce hosted the RCMP Musical Ride on Wednesday, July 24th. Sightseers from Erickson, Wasagaming, Onanol, Minnedosa, Neepawa, Brandon, and even the U.S. enjoyed the event. Roulette, a group of artists from Amaranth Sandy Bay First Nation, provided a musical performance prior to the ride. Guest of honor was Graham Kingdon, who was born into an RCMP family up in the Northwest Territories and moved to Portage la Prairie when his RCMP Staff Sergeant father was transferred there. After his father retired, they moved to the family farm in Basswood, Manitoba, and after completing high school in Minnedosa, Graham acquired his diploma in agriculture at U of M and his degree in agriculture from Guelph, Ontario. However, the RCMP was calling. He completed depot in 2002 and served in Gibsonville, Selkirk, Bloodvein, Barons River, and Popular River, all located in Manitoba. In 2007, he accepted for a position in the RCMP musical ride, performing through Canada and the United States. For 2 years, he rode on the number 8 position, rising Sassy or Aussie. Married in 2009, Graham and his wife, Nakela, moved after he was transferred to Dauphin. In 2016, the family, comprising of Graham, Nakela, 2 daughters, moved again following his transfer to Wasagamine. Upon retirement from the RCMP in 2022, the Kingdons commenced their new family career, growing U-pick strawberries on their farm near Basswood, Manitoba. And finally, rocking the Centennial Park in Arden. Preparations are well underway for the 2nd annual Whitemud Music Festival by Casper Warehan. And pictured here from the 2023 event are members of the ZZ Topless. They were one of the tribute bands who played at the inaugural Whitemud Music Festival. A rural festival that had received a smash hit debut last year is returning for 2024. This is Arden's very own 2nd annual Whitemud Music Festival. This music-centric event is volunteer-run and organized, taking place each year at the Lansdowne Centennial Park. There, a wide variety of musical acts, locals, tributes, and more take the stage to entertain all in attendance. The 2024 edition of this festival is right around the corner, taking place on Friday, August 23rd and Saturday, August 24th. There are a total of 10 bands performing this year, including musical talent such as the B34th Street tribute bands for AC/DC and Tom Petty and Annabella Proper. On Friday, the gates will open at 6 p.m. with the first band performing at 7 p.m., followed by 2 more at 8:30 and 10 p.m. For Saturday, the gates will open at 11 and the first band will perform at 12, with a new band coming up every 2 hours. The event will also feature beer gardens and a selection of food trucks and other vendors for attendees to enjoy. We had a really good response last year. We were happy with our crowd. We were just shy of 500 people for the weekend last year. That's a number we're happy with, and we think we're going to grow on that quite a bit, co-organizer Rob Cameron enthused. Most people say they're coming back, and they're all bringing people with them. People who couldn't make it last year are telling us on the street they are going to be there and they're going to camp and they've heard good things. Cameron added, even the bands we had last year within the beginning of the week after it, they were even telling us that they had a really good time and how they were treated well. That they enjoyed being in Arden and that the whole atmosphere, it meant a lot to our organizing committee, that the bands themselves were reaching out to us after the event, thanking us for how they were treated and for the experience they had. Valuable feedback. According to Cameron, things are shaping up well for the 2nd edition of the event. Preparations are well underway and the team is using last year's experience and feedback to make changes for this year. It actually ran fairly smoothly last year, so we just had a few tweaks to make in a few different little spots, but nothing too major, said Cameron. So it's been pretty good. We've had the bands booked since winter time pretty much. We're putting together some last minute little details, getting volunteers lined up and where they're going to work. One of the changes made, Cameron noted, was to the venue's lighting. While the stage area was well lit, there were a couple of areas that had received feedback on. These were the porta potty and the festival's camping area. The committee has also shifted away from volunteer security for 2024, using hired security instead to help that portion run a bit smoother. Cameron also emphasized that this is a community-centered event, with all funds raised benefiting the Arden Curling Club. The event is also backed by the Arden Rec Commission and the RM of Glenella Lansdowne. Essentially, we're trying to start a slush fund in case we need to spend a bunch of money on the curling clubs sometime for an ice plant or something like that, Cameron explained. He added, we're looking forward to it. We're hoping people come out and have fun, support us, and make it worthwhile. The hours put in by the volunteers. And that concludes the paper for Friday, August 2nd, 2024. I hope you enjoyed.